Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we need to talk about an upcoming big heat wave that is going to be potentially impacting the northeastern corner of the country. Also, a huge cooldown out west as well compared to what they've been dealing with can also be expected. Before I get into the video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, how long do you think that this very warm pattern in the northeastern United States will last? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Anyways, let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look here at our temperature anomalies as of last night, and as you can see, already we had some very cold, far below normal temperatures there in the northwestern United States there. As you can see, the greens indicating 10 to 15 degrees below normal, and those blues within the greens are indicating 15 to 30 degrees below normal. So obviously a significant departure from normal, and an even more significant departure than what they've been feeling for pretty much a majority of the summer at this point. So yeah, I think a very good switch up for you guys. I'm sure a lot of you are happy about that. Texas, Oklahoma also dealing with those significant departures from normal in the colder direction there. But what's interesting is in between those two cold air masses, we actually have a very warm air mass at this point, where there's actually temperatures that are 10 to 15 degrees above normal in those dark reds, and then even in those grays, we have 15 to 30 degrees above normal. So there is a lot of extremes going on there in the western half of the country. And then the eastern, I would say third, is more like, I would say within 5 degrees of their normal temperature there in either direction. Very interesting. We're going to see this really change up, so let's just move on towards tonight. And as you can see, we have some colder than normal conditions still set up over the west. That's no surprise there. Still over Texas and Oklahoma as well. But those warmer than normal conditions have really shifted mostly towards the upper Midwest, the northern plains, and the northeastern corner of the country. And it's only going to keep moving in that direction, honestly. So let's go ahead and take a look at about 2 p.m. here on Thursday, August 17th. And this is when things begin to get really interesting. Again, the upper Midwest dealing with those warmer than normal conditions. At this point, New England and a lot of the Northeast isn't dealing with it yet, but I promise you they will end up dealing with it. The western half of the country still, or the western third at least, is dealing with those significantly far below normal temperatures there, as you can see, which is obviously, like I said, a big difference than what they've been dealing with for a majority of the summer. So let us know if you're out west and you're watching this video. How are you feeling about those colder than normal conditions moving into your part of the country? Are you very happy about it, or would you rather it be hot again? Let us know in the comments down below how you guys feel, because I'd be very curious to hear about that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to move on towards Friday afternoon at about 1 or 2 p.m. here, and then we're just going to continue to move on with this further along and just keep on going. Now, as you can see, we're dealing with temperatures that are mostly below normal for the United States. Still, the west out there, it has shifted a little bit more eastward towards the Rockies, I would say, but still we're dealing with a significant amount of below normal temperatures in the western half of the country. Same story with the southeast, actually. They're dealing with mostly below normal temperatures, but the northeastern half of the country, or sorry, probably like eighth of the country at this point, but maybe a fourth, somewhere, maybe a sixth, I don't know, somewhere in between there. But for the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast, we're dealing with those above normal temperatures, and that will be what eventually is likely going to end up being a heat wave for the most part. Here's by Saturday, and this is going to be Saturday at approximately maybe around noontime or so. And as you can see, those temperatures are just getting further and further above normal there for the eastern half of the country. We see also the western, I would say, eighth of the country at this point now, the very west coast, is dealing with those above normal temperatures at this point. So they've really come full circle by this point. We do see those below normal temperatures really showing up in between, though, by this point. So in between the plains and in between kind of the western, really far western United States. There for the Rockies, the Four Corner States as well, and the western half of those plain states, Kansas, Nebraska, the Dakotas there, we are dealing with this below normal temperatures here. Now, by time we reach approximately, I would say, 8 p.m. here on Sunday, you can see the western half of the country again begins to cool down. The eastern half of the country is kind of readjusting that heat wave, but it's only going to get worse before it gets better. So let's just take this towards about the next morning, late the next morning on Monday, August 23rd here by this point. And as you can see, the western half of the country is more near normal by this point. There's really a lot of light oranges and a lot of light blues going on, It's going to be pretty close to your normal for most regions in there in the western half of the country. We also see the very far above normal temperature setting up for the plains and some of the eastern United States as well. But overall, there's all above normal temperatures for the eastern United States with a few exceptions, perhaps. By the time we reach about Tuesday morning, however, we see this warmer, I guess the warmest region here in the darker reds. It's kind of expanding and heading further eastward, now encompassing a lot of the Ohio Valley, the plains, the upper Midwest, and areas like that. It's only going to continue to get worse. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on towards Wednesday morning, and we're just going to continue on for a couple more frames afterwards to see what this heat wave does. All right, now here we are taking a look at Wednesday, and again, this is more towards the morning hour, but this is August 25th, and as you can see, the western coast of the United States is warming up by this point. We do see some of the rocky states like Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas. A cool down is pushing through, so this could spell the end of that heat wave, which we can see is really expansive there for Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and even Minnesota there. So we see a lot of those darker red states. Also, New England is dealing with some of the darker reds. This is going to be areas that are about 5 to 15 degrees above normal, which is obviously moving into that significant territory as far as the departure from normal goes. Thursday morning here, by the time we're reaching August 26th, you can see the West Coast is now the warmest region in the United States again. Obviously, this is the longer range, so we're going to want to take this with a grain of salt. The confidence goes down with every frame. Obviously, the very first frames we're the most confident in, and the very final frames we're the least confident in. So that's also important to keep in mind. Obviously, we see a lot of the blues and greens for Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, Kansas, Nebraska as well, Iowa, Missouri, Minnesota. All of those areas are dealing with these colder than normal conditions. But again, the eastern half of the country is still holding on to a lot of that warmth here by this point. But I don't know how long it'll last, because by the time we reach Friday morning, August 27th, you can see that cool down rapidly moving in. The west is warming even further. So let's take a look at some of those teleconnections that might tell us why a lot of this is happening. Here's our Arctic Oscillation, or AO. And when it's in its positive phase, this encourages mostly warmer than normal conditions in the United States. And when it's in its negative phase, it encourages a lot of colder air to be shoved down from Canada into the United States. And as you can see, this is positive right now. It is expected to go negative. You have to give it a couple days of lag, because usually once this kind of value goes negative, it's going to take a few days for that effect that is a result of this going negative to take place. And a few days after this goes negative is about the 27th, 28th time frame, maybe even a bit later. But I really feel like kind of that late next week into the weekend is when we would be taking a look at a major cool down. The NAO encourages colder air in the eastern half of the country in its negative phase, and warmer air in the eastern half of the country in its positive phase. As you can see, this one goes further negative. Again, if you give it a lag around the 26th, 27th is the correct time frame and lineup. And here's our Pacific North American Oscillation, or PNA. In its negative phase, it encourages warmer than normal conditions in the eastern half of the country, and in its positive phase, it encourages colder than normal conditions in the eastern half of the country. As you can see, it's been in its negative phase. It is in its negative phase until about the 23rd, and then it begins to rise towards a positive PNA around the 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, and beyond. I think this is all pointing towards a major late month cool down here for the month of August, but we're going to be watching very closely for that. But all signs are pointing towards us staying in a very warm pattern here in the eastern half of the country for maybe a few more days, maybe about a week or so, and then something major as far as cooldowns are concerned could be looming towards the end of the month. Anyway, for today's confidence tab, we're at a 5 out of 6 because a lot of what we talked about was in the shorter range today, and that is the reason why. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, when do you think we will have our next hurricane? And now we're expected to have 2 as of this morning. So Bart Barton said, I think Grace will be a hurricane tomorrow. This is obviously a good comment of the day, as Grace and Henry are both expected to become hurricanes. Henry has a slim chance to impact New England directly. I will be talking about that likely over the coming days because it needs to be talked about. There is a chance. It's really weird, I know, but there is a chance. For today's Patron Highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons, John Benbenek, James Wade, Dovi Nagel, Lurla Pan, and Donna Carnes, alongside our Diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Kudalessa, Catbite, Charles Tennant, Cindy Klein, Mark J, Luke Flago, Gary, Sean Colisi, Dwight Phelan, and Stephen Kernenthal. If you would like to be a part of this exciting Patreon experience today, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. I'd also like to thank our channel members, Hair Farms 1 and Caplight as well. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to destroy that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.